What are we talking about first? Miss, you had a couple things you wanted to hit on, right? Canaan, I know Canaan's got a thing or two. And
the Asbury College, so we were going to hit on that, right?
Do you want to hit that first? Miss, do you want to hit a couple of things?
I want to talk about a few things before we get into the down and dirty.
Hit me with what you got, man.
So without getting too in depth, I went to go see the electrophysicist today, and that's the one who is going to be implanting my defibrillator.
Put a little machine in your chest.
Yeah, they're worried that I'm going to have a massive heart attack. Like, yay me.
Listen, I'm worried I'm going to have a massive heart attack putting up with this whole mess, you know what I'm saying?
Have mercy.
In fact, the guy who was like, correct. Oh, boy.
Go ahead. What did he say?
He told me, he said, you will not be dying of a heart attack. This thing is like 99.9% accurate. And I was like, thank you.
All right.
Like everybody else die of heart attacks. I know that's one thing I will not die of. And then so I get there and it is like pouring down the rain. People are driving 35 and 55, and I'm able to go 85 safely. Like there was. Well,
let's be honest. You and Mariah rival each other for road rage.
Oh, today it was terrible. Today I was like, Jesus, you got to help me. I am going to kill somebody. Oh, it was terrible.
Why did I think they need to drive slow when it's just freaking rain? They
exactly right.
Say too.
Yes, it's
I
just
went around somebody in the pouring rain. I'm like, I'm not dealing with this.
I followed this blue car from Connecticut. From Connecticut.
Always the out-of-staters.
Yes, and I was like, I almost told him, honked on the horn, pull over. You don't know how to drive, pull over.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, you tell him.
That's telling him. You tell him.
So I was like, they're all ticked off. And I get there, and then it takes me to the wrong place. So then I'm like, seriously, 29 minutes late to my electrophysicist doctor's appointment. And I tell them, I said, I am so sorry. I went to 3 different locations. It told me wrong. I said, is there any way you can sneak me in? And the doctor was fantastic. He's like, what are you? And I said, I'm a CCU nurse. And he said, oh, you already know what's going on then. And I said, I do. He said, well, which one do you want? So he gave me 2 options. And then after I picked my pacemaker.
See, there's an edit that's going to come out. Jeez. So you going to drag his out?
Oh, my.
Just got it. So
you picked it out, and then what happened?
I'm getting ready, and I have to go to the bathroom. So I'm going in there, and I got Squeak with me, and it's just everybody just wants to talk to him, and I have to pee like a racehorse. So here I am going to the bathroom, and I'm getting my pants all situated and everything, and all of a sudden I hear plop. And I'm like, oh, no.
What'd you do?
No, this did not just happen. And I turn around, and my phone is floating down to the bottom of the toilet. My $1,100 phone.
Oh, jeez.
I was
this ain't funny no
more. ticked. You guys, I wanted to
phone.
I wanted to cry, guys. It was terrible.
You dropped it in a WVU hospital toilet?
Yep. Oh. In the heart and vascular department.
You know, at all times.
In Suite C. The toilet there.
Does it still work?
Oh, yeah, it's fine. It works just great. It's still like I have the wireless
just matter you had to hold
and
it up.
Stuff.
You got to hold it up.
So now, So now, whenever I go to use that phone, do not attempt to lick the phone. Do not do anything to the phone.
Never, ever.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. So now every time I go to use the phone, I have to be like, hello, like hold it against my face like that movie where it's dripping. Can you still hear me?
Real quick before we get into Asbury, I noticed something about because you mentioned something about you saw a Damar Hamlin jacket or something that was called. You sent me a picture
really
of that
quick.
too.
Okay, I was going to ask you if you got what I.
I saw that. What was you saying?
We actually started talking about it the moment he got home. So I want to talk about that real quick.
Yeah. Why'd you send it to me, Canaan? What got your attention?
Well, I mean, just the whole appearance of it. It just, just the look of it is really weird.
It was very weird.
I don't really know. Like, I don't want to be like jump on him and be like, he was, I don't want to be that way.
Well, for those that don't know, he attended Damar Hamlin attended the Super Bowl, and he wore a jean jacket with a very weird depiction of Jesus on the cross or something, but it looked like a drawing from Squidbillies or something like it was.
I personally took it as it looked like something from South Park. Didn't it look like a drawing from South Park though?
Like,
kind of. I mean, it looked deformed. It
Sacrilegious.
very, very sacrilegious, in my opinion. Like, I was like,
it was weird.
and I did.
Yeah.
And my thing is like, I thought he was a Christian. That's why it kind of set me back a minute. I'm like, what? I thought this guy, like, professed to be a believer. So that's why I didn't really want to, like, jump on him and be like, oh, he's horrible. Like, maybe it's got some meaning to him or something.
Well, and that's what I brought up too, because I was like, maybe it was drawn by a family member, like it's his 13-year-old nephew, or someone from, let's just say, Jamaica or Haiti, or like, who knows exactly where it came from? Because I've
that's very true.
seen different drawings of Jesus, and I've been like, okay, that doesn't look like the Jesus that I have in my mind.
Well, I do know what he said was that because somebody talked to him about it. There's been, I think he put out a post and all that. But he did say he did not mean it to be sacrilegious at all. He didn't mean it to be offensive, and that somehow, I think he did say he's a believer and that it was fine for him.
Yeah. I was going to say, I have the article he actually wrote about it, and I was going to read it real quick.
Well, do you want to read it, or do you want to just post it for people to see? Or because there's really not much more, I think, than...
Okay. Yeah.
Than what we cover.
Good idea. We'll just put it in
we can post it on
Facebook
social
and let
media.
people in our private group and let people leave their comments on what they think about it.
Yeah.
Because
I would like to hear people's thoughts on that.
Yeah.
It was weird looking. I'll give you, it was very weird looking.
It was very weird looking. Almost creepy looking, honestly.
Yeah.
It was very strange. But then again, we used to live in this Catholic nunnery over in Africa. It was actually a Catholic.
A nunnery.
Basically, yeah. The nuns lived there as a school place where, and it actually had some drawings on the door of Jesus, and it creeped me out.
You can't have no drawings of Jesus. I mean,
So I just found it interesting.
Man, I am off.
You are off. Yes.
Should we move on to Asbury?
Yes. Let's move on to Asbury.
Canaan, you'd wanted to talk about this. We had I know LaDonna mentioned about we ought to talk about it.
Yeah, I thought it was really cool. I thought it'd be something really worth mentioning.
Well, it's interesting. I imagine most of our listeners have heard about it now. The revival that kicked off from a chapel service at Asbury College.
I'm sure they have.
And you listened to the message that spurred it on. Or
I did listen to the message. Yeah, it was very good.
It was flame, whatever they want to use it.
Well, because let me back up for a minute. I do admit to being skeptical right up front, because when somebody comes in claiming that, ooh, look here, big revival, first thing I think of is like, what, a Benny Hinn scenario or something like that. And I'm like, sure.
taking the jackets and then beating people and then having a mass wave of people falling down.
Well, and I also know in Texas, Ben tells me about this all the time when me and him talk about religion. Revivals in the CHM growing up were not exactly revivals. They were a planned meeting.
Yes.
10 days, two times a year. And that was just it. Now, we called them revivals, but they weren't. It was just, we decided to have church many times in a week, and that's all. That's all really
You're right. And then we had to pay the preacher just an outrageous number.
And the poor members had to bring in like their food and support the preacher.
Everybody had to make a casserole every day of the week.
Our church, yes, exactly. Our church would about go broke down home trying to get these preachers down there. It was ridiculous.
How much did they pay him, Canaan? Do you guys remember?
I think there towards the end, it was probably well over $100 a night.
Gee,
but I mean,
$100 a service.
$100 a service.
Yeah, but they also weren't even a week long though. They would only be like Wednesday through Sunday.
Well, they started out back when I was a kid. They started out 10 days, and the older I got, the shorter they got. But that's probably because people couldn't afford it anymore.
Yeah, well, 100 a night. That is.
Who cares if the Lord's coming? We can't afford that crap.
And heaven help the night shifters. Like, you weren't there for the service.
Oh, yeah.
But they really wanted your money.
Yeah.
You'd get shamed into it.
Oh, you'd be shamed. You'd be like, you
can pay online now.
Yes, you can. True.
They didn't have that back then, though.
No, they didn't.
Yep.
They didn't. Had to drop that in on Sunday if you were there.
Yeah. Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Well, so I was skeptical about this thing at Asbury, but kind of got to looking into it, and it seems like it's real. It's a chapel service. Started off, I listened to the sermon. The sermon was about love. There was nothing at all about the sermon that would make you think we're about to touch off a revival here. The guy was cracking jokes.
Yeah.
He was kind of awkward, even with some of the. He was getting about as many laughs as I'm getting tonight, and so it kind of went like that. But he preached really, really good. It was about love and I'm not going to lie, he dug around my toes a little bit, where I was like, oh yeah, I'm falling short in this area. And then apparently the revival is just like they've been in a continuous service, I think, since then. Am I right?
Yeah, no. I think you're right. Now, so let me think about this. Today is Thursday, right?
Yes.
I don't think I found out about this until like Monday night.
The Asbury service?
Yeah.
Revival?
I had totally been in the dark. Or maybe it was Sunday night. And me and Mariah were going down the road, and Mariah said something about the Asbury Revival. And I'm like, what's that? and because when I would see it on Facebook, I'd usually just be like, another CHM service, and scroll on by.
Right.
That was, so I never paid any attention to it. Well, then she's like, you gotta watch this. So I started watching a little bit of it, and they were just singing. But like you could feel a sweet presence. Just by watching it on the phone. Like, that was my take on it. But so that's
there's
amazing
been,
what's going on.
I think there's been several CHM people go down there, right, and kind of check it out. And
I think there has.
Yes, there's been different organizations or different groups, that have loaded up and said, hey, we want to be a part of this. And I think that's so wonderful, though, that a lot of people want to be a part of it. But then I also get a little bit nervous, and I posted about this in the group too, because I know just how skeptical the CHM people are, which is kind of like what you said, you were skeptical.
Yeah.
And we kind of wonder, is this really real? Is this fake? What's exactly is going on?
Right.
And so I'm worried that some person who in the CHM is going to go down there and be like, yeah, that wasn't of God, because they sang Bethel music. Did you notice that? And they used have cheerleaders there, and there's so many reasons why they want to prove that it is not God. And I'm like, please, God, please just overlook them and just keep showering your presence down on the people that are really sincere and going there. And I'm so glad that there's a revival going on.
Sure.
But I get so scared personally because I don't want God's presence to be squelched, because I know just how precious it is.
I think God's more powerful than that.
Yeah.
He's more powerful than CHM. And if I'm really not worried about it, because it's God's show. He's going to do what he wants to do.
That's true.
And that's my take on it anyways. The CHM can do whatever they want. And there have been several of them that I've seen that have gone down and said, oh yeah, this convinced us.
Yeah.
Which then to me makes a very interesting question that they're going to have to answer. Why is it happening at Asbury where the people definitely don't line up to what we think you're supposed to do?
So, and also opens up the thing of, why is God blessing the non-CHMers?
I mean, you got dudes in there with long hair and tattoos.
Exactly.
You got women not wearing dresses, but somehow something's happening.
And they're singing this awful
Bethel.
They're singing this awful Bethel music, that you cannot be of God.
Well,
hopefully it'll make him start to question.
I hope so. Yes.
I hope it does.
I don't know if it's going to, though, and I would love for it to. But there was a good revival that broke out among the Baptists several years back. I'm talking probably. We had just moved out here, so
wasn't it like 20? It was like 2016.
2016,
like North Carolina or something.
Yeah, and I think it might have did break out in North Carolina. And there's actually, I think, some tent revivals that's maybe still kind of going off of that. And there was, I don't know if it was to the extent of what's going on now, but it had a lot of CHM people talking about it. Oh man, that's awesome! That's great. But once it was over, it was just like, it just forget, kind of go back into the old ways of being.
It's true. It's true. There was
I don't
a post.
think we should talk about revival and say in the same sentence.
Would you rather say no, but it's right though. It's true.
Yes.
They're forgetful people, and they just slip right back in their old ways.
Mm-hmm.
And when this is all over, the CHM people will be like, "Oh man, good move of God." Yeah, I bet you the reason it ended was because there was cheerleading. You know what I'm saying? Like they'll come up with some reason.
They'll come up with something.
they are not going. Nothing's going to shake them. They're not going to come off their cult type ways. They're just not.
Well, I am skeptical of changing CHM. I think it can happen. I'd like to see it happen, but I am.
The proof is in the pudding, for sure. There was a post about the Asbury, and it said, "This will ruffle feathers, however. I value your opinion and assessment. However, I believe it is a true, meaningful revival when or if this happens. The Asbury's administration becomes convicted and uncomfortable with their cheerleaders immodest like a secular school when they stop wearing shorts that are way up north on their legs. If this happens, I will believe it was a true, genuine revival. Any true moving of God will not sanction modesty.
Any moving.
Oh my.
And then
who gave him the power to judge somebody though? Like where does he get?
That's where it comes down.
Where's your high throne, sir? Because show me.
Well, and
who died made you?
Yeah. it almost becomes like the emperor's new clothes. Like I will be so believing of this whenever they put clothes on, but they themselves are just naked as can be.
What was that line from Couples Retreat? Remember, he's like, "Where's he get to talk down about sandals?"
Oh man,
I do love that. That's my favorite movie ever.
I don't know.
Okay, we're getting off topic though.
It's okay. And then the response to this by the person that posted said, not to ruffle feathers or anything, but honestly, I didn't go there looking for cheerleaders. So I have no idea they're standing on anything like that. I'm just thankful that I felt God's presence there.
Yeah.
And that there to me is why are you going? Are you going to go there to critique the leaders? Are you going
that guy
to critique
that was talking about cheerleaders, he didn't go.
Yeah.
He's just sitting there.
I'm just saying though, that's a CHM person judging. And whenever they want to go to that thing, in the back of their mind, they're all like, see, she had short sleeves. Her elbows were showing like she had boobs. Like it's ridiculous. No.
There is definitely something of that.
That was the we had some guys at work or whatever. They're like, man, why couldn't we see a move like that here? And all this stuff. And I wanted to say, you don't really want it here. You want it in your movement. You want it in the CHM.
Yes.
And my thing is like, you're not going to have it in the CHM because of a guy just like that right there. Oh my cheerleaders. Oh my this. Oh my, they have shorts. They have long hair. They have tattoos. You can't get your eyes off of that long enough to get your eyes on Jesus. To really, you know what I'm saying? To actually,
That's an interesting point. Yeah.
Why are we? This is revival. Why are we sexualizing women?
Yeah.
Why do women be sexualized?
100%. We're thinking about the women for a minute and just think about Jesus, but they can't get their mind off the cheerleaders.
That's a very good. Right, that's a very good point. It seems they can't stop themselves. They can't stop themselves.
They can't control themselves.
Yeah.
Boom, boom.
They have to sexualize women. Everything has to come back to sex.
Yes.
And, yeah.
Yes.
How would he even know that they were wearing shorts as cheerleaders?
Yeah, and they were up north and whatnot.
He had to have looked it up or something.
I don't understand. God is moving in such a great my heart is craving this. Like I'm physically craving this move of God.
Yeah.
And there's a douchebag trying to sexualize.
Yeah, the last thing when Mariah tells me about this revival, the last thing I thought was,
I wonder
they have cheerleaders. They got cheerleaders at that school. I wonder if the cheerleaders are at church. I want to go to this church. They're like, goodness gracious. And you know me, I'm all about jokes. I love jokes, and I love making people uncomfortable and whatnot.
Do you really?
I'm really good at it.
I like making it, but it's like, my goodness,
I mean, what?
Let's focus on Jesus.
That's like a woman writing, I bet you their football pants are tight. Like,
I bet you they are.
They are, though.
There's been a couple of the CHM guys that's kind of given some responses like that, though. There's some of them even brought politics into it. They're like, when they quit using that worldly music and start flying some American flags and all this, that, and the other, I'm like, I'm sorry.
Man, you are reaching for that.
Oh, yeah.
It's almost like they're jealous.
You are
they're jealous.
Oh, they are. They are. Well, I mean, not the name drop or whatever, but his whole comment on Twitter in itself, it looked like it screamed two things. Look at me, look at what we've done, and two, jealousy.
That did get me a little bit. I thought the same thing.
This must be like a popular topic because there's another post that came out. It says people are so skeptical. Time will tell if the Asbury Revival is real. Meanwhile, people are praying and worshiping the Lord, and that is a wonderful thing. I can't think of anything I'd rather having my children doing in college, and that is exactly right. There's no other place I would rather my boy be like, hey, Mom, I want to go down here to this Asbury Revival because they said they had a really good moving of God's Spirit. That's awesome. And the fact that my own child was part of that, like what started that fire, that's amazing.
Oh, yeah.
That is amazing. That these are young people that are starving 100%. For God. And this is like an open display of that. And so we have to sit there and be like, is this really real?
How close are you guys to there?
About 5 hours.
We're actually closer than they
We're
are.
about 3.5.
Yeah, we're about 3.5.
Scott Clemens is taking a van down. That's what I heard. I'm sad for them taking a van down.
It's crossed my mind.
Cool.
I thought about it.
Yeah, me too.
As well. My thing is like, here's what my thing is. I don't understand why people are like, man, we're driving down here to see if this is real. Like, what does it matter? They're worshiping the same God that we are.
Yeah, from what I see, it's hard to see what's coming out of there and be like, they're up to something. You know what I mean?
They're up to worshiping God.
Yeah.
Like, what's
Look
the problem?
Look at them, they're praising the Lord and praying.
I'm driving down there. I got to see if this is real for myself.
Yeah.
It's like, well, what didn't Jesus say? If they're not against us, they're for us. Like,
right?
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's like,
and
they're worshiping God. It's like, like
I do almost want to kind of drive down and see it for myself. Not in that spirit, but
I want to go down there because I want to feel that presence. I'm not going down there to be like,
No.
I wonder if this is fake.
Because that's the wrong spirit.
Because I don't think it's fake. I think it's real, and I want to go down there and experience it on myself.
I agree.
Yeah, I want to be.
I think
they can't go classes all week.
Yeah,
I think the Bible talks about testing the spirits, but I think that can be. I've seen enough from there to be like, well, yeah. I mean, there's nothing that I get any warning vibes from.
No, no, exactly.
Now, tell me. Now this is going on like 24/7, right? Like all night long. And
from what I understand, yeah.
See, that's the way I understood it too. And if that be the case, that's hard. Like that's not easy. Like I've been in watch night services till 12, and I was like about ready to kill myself.
Oh yeah, but those were so freaking depressing.
No, they were that. But that's my whole point. It's like if God is not there, like that would be really hard to do. Like be there all night long and all like. And
it'd be impossible.
I'd be loaded up on cocaine and Monster.
That's a good combination.
Or Phil Adderall.
What?
And amphetamines too, just like the Morgan Wallen said.
Exactly right. Canaan, we were going to talk as well, not just about Asbury, but we were going to do part 2 out of 4.
Okay.
You were going to talk about why you left CHM.
Why I left the CHM or how I came to Christ? What's your?
I guess they both go a little hand in hand there.
It goes together.
Yeah.
Okay. So, man, how far back do you want me to go? Like, there's a lot here.
Go back to the beginning. I mean, you were conceived on a dark, stormy night, and.
So I'm trying to think. So if you go back to where it probably really began, because I mean, obviously I accepted Christ as my Savior when I was like 6 years old, but you really don't understand.
Well, you were, take it on back, so you were a preacher's kid, right? Your dad, did your dad pastor, or did he just preach like at the camp, or what?
He did. So no, Dad pastored a little church in Cambridge, Ohio, and I'll try to go through this quickly, but he pastored this little church in Cambridge, Ohio, and it was hilarious. I was actually talking to a buddy the other day about this. Because he actually kind of knew some of the people that went to this church. My mom and dad, for like 10 years, literally picked up every single person in their congregation. Not one person drove to this church. I'm not even joking.
Oh, wow.
We would leave.
Wow.
A lot of times when I was real little, I remember us getting up real early in the morning and driving an hour and a half one way to this church. I'm not exaggerating. I promise you this. Driving
an hour and a half one way.
And one way to church. My mom driving. We would drive there and we would pick up Sister Sheball. Now, mind you, there wasn't a ton of people in this congregation. Let me be clear about that.
was at least 5.
There was probably 5 or 6. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not joking.
It wasn't
Right,
5.
right.
It was 6, Mariah. Get it right.
Yeah,
My bad. My
6
bad.
and a half. You know,
What's a half man?
Hey, a little kid.
It was an
goodness gracious.
amputee. He
Yeah.
One of the attenders had been in an awful car wreck.
So mom, it was Sister Sheball and Norma Slarb. Well, I shouldn't probably be naming these people off. Well, they're two.
It doesn't matter.
Them two are dead now. But
Nobody
anyway.
cares. Just continue on. Don't give details. We don't care.
Sorry. Whatever. Sorry. So anyway, my mom pastored there for like 10 years. And then when my sister was born, that's when mom is like, you know what, I've had just about enough of this. Like, burnt out was beyond. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was crazy.
Absolutely.
So they quit pastoring there, and then we ended up going to New Lexington Church there for a while. And so when that was all said and done, and that was all over with, I was probably 12.
Why don't
Probably
you
13.
start at like the after Florida thing?
So
Well,
always-
that's where I was going, but he was just talking about the church.
I kind of want to get your background so people knew. You've always, was from the very beginning, you were involved in CHM.
Oh my!
Because your grandpa was a pastor, your uncle was
You guys had
a preacher,
the
your dad-
Southeastern, what was it? Southeastern Higher Youth Camp, something like that.
Yep, exactly. Yep.
The one that had that demonic girl. You can go back to our other ghost
Yeah,
podcast.
we did talk about that about a year or so ago. Yeah,
Yes, it did.
you guys put that on.
Yeah, it has been a while. So I've always been in the CHM, and so when me and Mariah we got married at 18, and there was hardly no work in Ohio, and obviously wanting to kind of sprout your wings, I guess you could say, and kind of fly on our
I
own.
was driving an hour to work one way.
Yeah, you were driving an hour
A waitress.
Yeah. I was driving, and Mariah can attest to this because she went with me. I was working for my grandpa. We drove 3 hours one way to work one day for me.
Dude,
Wow.
one day I'm sitting at the house in Taylor County, West Virginia, and you show up on my porch because you had a job down here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I had a job down there. Yeah, and so
Wow.
that was my norm. And I remember I told Uncle Mark and Aunt Liz, I said, and this all ties in. We went to their where did we see them? I think we might have just been talking on the phone, and I just told him I was looking for like a change.
We were.
Well, no, before we actually went to Florida, and Mark's like, come to Muncie.
Yeah.
He's like, come to Muncie, take a look around, see what you think. He's like, and then kind of go from there. And I'm like, okay. So we go out to Muncie. It's snowing like crazy. I mean, like it's like a really bad snowstorm.
Mm-hmm.
And we're out here looking around. Muncie looks like complete dog crap. and now, mind you, it still does, but that's besides the point, So we come out here and look around, and we leave that weekend, and me and Mariah were just like, absolutely not. And so it was still snowing really bad and stuff. So I remember we got stuck, and I was like, you know what, I'm done. We're going to Florida. Yeah, we did. We got a hotel that night because we couldn't even get up on our hill hard. It was a mess. I'm like, I'm done. I'm going to Florida. I'm done dealing with this weather. Screw this. I'm out.
I mean, if you have the option to go to palm trees or go to Indiana,
Like,
you're going to pick palm trees.
What are you
Palm
gonna pick?
trees,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, 100%. So we ended up, so we packed it. So we left, and like we didn't have anything tying us down in Ohio, really. I think we left immediately. I mean, as soon as we could call Daryl and Sue and be like, hey, you mind if we live with you for a while? And they said yes. I packed up the old Monte Carlo and the Corvette, and Florida we headed. And so we went down there. We were down there for about 7 months, something like that. And when we left Ohio, we were actually doing really good spiritually. Like we actually
as good as we knew how.
We're still CHM
100%.
at this time?
Yes. Oh, 100%.
Oh, we went CHM till.
Dude, we were beeping the CHM.
I mean, they were sitting on our mantle.
Yeah. I mean, we were.
Oh, boy.
we were definitely CHM, but I didn't feel like there was like any sin in our life. That's what I mean by like we were doing pretty good spiritually. Like there was no active sin. Like we were living.
We had no time to actively sin.
That's true. We're working all the time. Okay. So we get down to
What for the
Florida.
lack of trying?
Yeah.
Or wanting to.
So we're down in Florida.
You were also 18. You couldn't do anything at 18.
Yeah, not much. Well,
18 is
we did more
boring.
than we should have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
18 was
Yeah.
not cracked up what
Yeah.
everybody thought it was.
Yeah,
Right.
for real. So we're down there, and like 2 or 3 months into it, and kind of stopped doing devotions together. We stopped going to church. We stopped praying. We never really saw one another.
No, we pretty much had separate lives, honestly.
We did, because
for a long time.
I worked a full-time job, and then she actually worked 2 jobs, but they weren't both full-time. But I mean, she worked till late night. Then I would see her a little bit in the evening.
I was a stripper. I'm just kidding.
She was.
Oh no!
But then on the weekends, though, you worked another job, and so I never really saw her. So I just hang out with my buddies, and so yeah, we never really saw one another. So our marriage was definitely on the rocks. Like it was in a bad spot.
Aww.
We ended up coming back up to Ohio, for camp. Actually, the camp you were talking about, Phil.
Yeah. Youth camp.
And and so we didn't actually just come up for that, but we knew it was a perfect time to come up because everybody was going to be kind of at the same spot at the same time.
Sure.
And so we knew we could see everybody. And so during that week, like, I don't know, it got worse. Like everything went downhill from there.
You got worse.
Well,
okay, let's be clear about this.
Just be clear. What happened, Canaan?
Way off the rails.
I did.
Way more than I did, and way more than I knew that you did.
I would agree with that.
Ooh.
Yeah, I did go pretty nuts. Like, okay, so I don't want to go too far into it, but this week was so wild and so nuts.
This was your week up at the youth camp. So what you're talking about?
Yeah, well, not just the youth camp. Like we weren't there the whole time. We weren't there the whole time. We went a lot of other places.
Okay.
Like we went and hung out with like her family, and then actually we hung out with your sister a lot, Megan and Zach.
Yeah,
but when that week was over and we're heading back to Florida, and I'm just kind of jumping ahead here because this is how crazy it was. My buddy Tyler literally pulled the car along the interstate and was like dragging me out of the car because he thought I was like dying. He said that he had tried to wake me up for like a long time, and I would not.
Dying from what?
I wouldn't wake up. He didn't know, but I was so out of it and so asleep, like he could not wake me up.
That's how much he drank that
I drink like every day. I'm not even joking.
Okay.
I drink for morning. I would drink in the afternoon. I drink in the evening. I wouldn't eat. It was crazy.
I was wondering if this was like sleep deprivation or was it more alcohol induced? So it sounds like a combo.
Yeah, it was probably a combo because I mean, my goodness, we would stay up extremely late and we would be drinking, and then we would wake up early that morning and run all day, and then stay up again all night long. Yeah,
sure.
Not you so much, but
I have
did.
PTSD.
Why is that?
This is why I have such a hard time being away from you.
Well, probably, but that was when I was 18. I'm 27 now. Like that
doesn't matter.
It's still, she still cares about you enough that it worries her. Yeah.
I was crazy.
Like, seriously?
No, I was crazy. I was nuts. And like that week, like went really crazy. Like I mean, I was acting a little bit like that down in Florida, but like it was worse up there for whatever reason. I think it was because of vacay.
You were free.
It was vacation. I mean, really, because we had worked so much. We were working so much that when I got up there, it was a vacation.
You get around your friends and stuff too, people you haven't seen in a long time. And
100%. And those are people that, and a lot of the friends that I was with was people that I was never able to drink with before because I was in the CHM and and trying to be a great kid, And
so how was you reconciling drinking with CHM beliefs at this point?
What do you mean, like?
There weren't any CHM beliefs.
So your beliefs are just kind of going to the wayside at that point.
Oh yeah, man. Because here's the thing with, I mean, now this is a rabbit trail, but back then, like in the CHM, it was a sin to even look at the alcohol.
Yeah, you couldn't taste it, and nothing.
Yes, nonetheless, actually take a sip. If you take a sip of it, well, you've already sinned, so you might as well just jump off the deep end. And that's how I looked at it.
Yeah, the devil's juice.
I like the taste of it. I like the buzz. I love the effect. So it's like I'm gonna drink this.
Yeah.
If I drink one sip, I might as well drink several.
Well, me and you talked about this many times, Canaan, that they actually, the CHM as a whole, did us a disservice because they did not teach us self-control at all.
That's true.
With anything.
They did.
That'd be alcohol, that'd be whatever.
They didn't teach me self-control on freaking eating, man.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like I mean, and that's just how it is. They don't preach any of that. Any self-discipline, nothing. They don't.
Right.
No, that's out the window.
Yep.
So anyway, so that week, was just crazy. And I actually came into church. I actually was out one night. I don't even know if I should share this story, but one night we was out drinking with some buddies, and I was like, man, I told him, I was like, I got to get to church. And they're like, Canaan, you're drunk, dude. Like, you can't go to church. I'm like, oh, no, I need me some Jesus, man.
Right.
And so they're like, no, man, you cannot go to church. And I was like, no, I am going to church. I got to go hear me some preaching. Because it was kind of sad because, like, you think about it now, like, it's kind of, I mean, I laugh at it. It's kind of funny, but on the other hand, it was kind of sad because I'm like, I knew I was doing wrong, but like, I was like trying to like run back to the CHM, you know what I'm saying? For like this saving grace. Like if I could get to church, if I could just get to church, man, I'm going to be all better.
Right.
And so I'm like, no, man, I got to get to church. So they took me to church against their better judgment. And so I go into church, and of course I'm drunk as a skunk. I'm walking down the center aisle, man, waving at people and talking to them. And,
oh boy!
And there's singing going on. And I'm like, so then I sit down beside Mariah, and Mariah's like, she looks at me, and I like swing my head over at her real quick, and she's like, "You're drunk," and I was like, "Yeah." and so they like rush me back in the back of the room, and they're like giving me coffee and trying to get me sobered up or whatever. And so yeah. So then that next night, was actually preaching, and I was sober. Praise be to He.
Praise be to He.
I was sobered up, and it was actually the whole family had actually went. I think her sister Megan was there. Maybe I don't know if Zach was there, but I think her sister Megan was there. Her mom and Homer, and I think maybe Micah, and we're all sitting there. And of course, the preaching started, and he started talking about running from like God. Like that, like that's what you're doing, like running from God, and of course, it's your typical CHM sermon, whatever.
Right.
But I do give him a lot of credit on that, like because like at that point I was running from God.
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to do anything spiritually. I had totally turned my back. Because going back to the old thing I was like, you know what, this is what I want to do, and I can't do it being a CHM creature.
You are a creature.
Anyway, where's the car wreck when you need one? So you're not going to be this. You're not. Being a CHMer, you're not. So I'm like, I'm totally turned away from God. I don't want any part of it. So I'm sitting there in that sermon, and he's preaching that, and I'm like, man, screw this. So I got up and walked out, and was like, trying to get away from it or whatever. Came back in. He's still preaching, and just got under conviction, I guess. I mean, if that's what you want to use. I mean, that's the old term, But there was a sweet presence there, and so I went to the altar, and I thought to myself, like, man, Mariah, she's not going to want anything to do with this. She's going to be done with me. Like, this was all fears that I had,
right?
Because neither one of us was really doing great spiritually, and I knew she was loving Florida, and I was too. And
but a little too much, and it wasn't healthy for you.
Yes, it wasn't healthy at all. And so I went to the altar, and man, it was like not even probably 30 seconds later, I hear them mentioning Mariah's name next to me. I'm like,
yeah, because they can't just keep their mouths shut.
And Mariah's like, right. And so all those fears that I had, that like, Mariah's like going to be angry with me, she's going to be done. Like, because our marriage is already on the rocks anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Like that.
I mean, honestly, before that, if we wouldn't have, we probably would have been.
Oh yeah, I would have probably gave us another month or two. Like
it was getting that bad.
It was getting really bad.
Wow.
Really bad.
A lot of people don't know that.
A lot of people don't. And so we ended up. So anyway, we prayed that night. Well, we're sitting in the front row because it was a good service. We're sitting in the front row, and Mariah's like, and my Uncle Mark was actually there, and my Uncle Mark, Mariah's like during the service, like, you need to talk to Uncle Mark about going back to Muncie. She's like, I feel like we need to get out of Florida. We need a fresh start. Let's go to Muncie, whatever, and go to his church. And I'm like, I blew him off the first time. I'm not about to start asking him if I can come to Muncie.
Because he offered for us to move in with him.
Yeah, like time. He offered us to move in. He offered to find me a job. Like, I mean,
Sure.
Very great offer. And so we're sitting there, like right in the middle of service, I think we actually just like kind of bowed our heads and just said a short little prayer, like, God, if this is what you want, let this, somehow let this come back around to it. So we said a short little prayer. Service was over. We're walking out the door, and we're actually walking out the doors pretty quickly because we're riding with your mom and Homer, and they were heading home, and it was getting late. So as I'm walking out the door, Mark literally like grabs my arm, pulls me to the side, and he's like, "Hey, just want you to know, I still want you in Muncie." He's like, "And if you want to come," he said, "you are more than welcome. The offer still stands." And I said, "Dude," I said, "You have no idea what an answer to prayer that is." I was like, I got to go now, but I'll be back tomorrow. You know, let's talk about this. He's like, "I'll be here." So I went home that night. That next day, me and Mark talked about it. We agreed to go to Muncie. Like, we didn't care like what it looked like. We're just like, you know what? If we want our marriage to last, if we want to be Christians, you know, this is what we got to do, or this is what we're going to do, you know. And so we ended up. I think I put in my 2 weeks notice. I think I texted the boss like that day and was like, "Hey, just let you know, I'm putting in my 2 weeks. I'm done." So we ended up going back to Florida, gathering our belongings. Mariah put in her 2 weeks, and we headed up, came up to Muncie, and been in Muncie ever since. That was 2015. And we were still heavily involved in the CHM. I mean, that
was kind of going to be my next question. What, because you wouldn't describe yourself as really having, you're not much of a CHM influence in your walk with Christ these days, I'd get, right?
Right now?
Right.
Oh, no. So, I want really nothing to do with them.
Yeah.
I mean, if people can't tell by listening to the podcast already.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't think it should be any surprise to them.
Right. So what kind of brought you to that? Because I'm guessing, you know, when you all accepted Christ there at that youth camp, that's a CHM youth camp, and I'm sure you had that some of those same beliefs for a good while after that. What brought you to the whole thing of like CHM really not what I'm after?
I'd have to say that it was like, you know, we were still trying to be CHM for a good couple of years, but I think it started kind of becoming like we really started questioning things like when we would like, obviously movies was like out, you couldn't watch any movies,
right?
But then like, you know, me and Mariah, you know, a new married couple, you know, like trying to like find ourselves and figure out what we believed. And you know, we'd watch a movie and we're like, well, that wasn't a bad movie. Like, you know, like we don't feel condemned. We don't feel like we don't feel the Spirit, like, you know, checking us on that. Like, you know, it's like, you know, then it leaked over into like movies and then even over into like alcohol and stuff like that. And it was like, I'm not feeling it. So then it starts like making you kind of question everything that we were ever taught.
Sure.
And then you start doing studies. And then of course, you know, me and you, Phil, I mean, man, we had countless of conversations of, you know, of what we believed and how we, you know, and the studying into it and stuff. And that's when I was just like, and then it just it was a very slow process. Like we did not just like make any sudden jump. Like it was very sudden, wasn't it?
Probably within the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah. Like it was very like,
but officially out of it, probably not since, I mean, it's probably only been like 2 years maybe.
Probably so, to be honest with you. Yeah, because I mean, Phil, like you made jumps before I did. Like you put the wedding band on before I did.
Yeah.
You listened to country music before I did.
Hey, you love Taylor Swift.
Oh, Taylor
still
Swift.
does.
Yes, I do, and I'm not ashamed of it. No, I did like her country stuff.
She has a few good songs. She has a few good songs.
A few? Has a lot. No. So really, we've not been out in an extremely long time. It was very gradual,
yeah.
Just moving in the right direction, having conversations, and then but then the further you get away from it, though, this is the experience I have, and I don't know if this is for everybody, but the experience I have is the further you get away from it, and the longer you're away from it, the more, and this people ain't going like this, the more it looks like a cult.
Oh yeah.
The more you get a drone. And you start getting up above and looking down on it. Oh my gosh, dude! Like,
it starts looking really, really wild.
Yeah, it's like I can't believe I was ever in that. Those people look ridiculous.
Yeah,
I'm saying like that's it's really how it's like. So,
is it possible for me to say too? Part of your reason for wanting to step away from the CHM had to do with how your uncle's church was treated, though, too, because they started to have a wonderful outreach with other people, and they got called out by different church organizations for having donuts and coffee in the church and having a great youth group. Even your Uncle Mark, he will talk about certain things, like we talked about sanctification, and it was a really interesting topic when we were in that there for that service, the focus group, when Jack was oh my goodness, he was tiny.
Yes.
Like a year old.
Yeah.
I remember.
I think
we
he was
still
even
got the
younger.
picture of,
Phil's holding him.
Yes.
But he was actually answering a lot of the important questions and not judging people for asking the questions.
100%.
And so
you're really onto something there.
Yeah.
Well, there were several people that spoke up in that too.
Yes.
And I give Mark a lot of credit for that. And I imagine we probably differ on the second work because I'm not sold on it, but
right.
Mark would entertain the questions, which most CHM preachers, where Mark was located at that time, they would not. They would get really uncomfortable with that. And what was interesting to me too was as we would say something, then somebody else, like across the table, would be like, "Yeah, I got questions too." And it was kind of this snowball effect where I realized, I'm definitely not the only one that has these questions.
And those were how a lot of those. That's how a lot of those meetings went.
Yeah.
A lot of those, and that was really cool. And so I think like Mickey's onto something is our church starting to come out of that and and they got ridiculed. I mean, we started the coffee and donuts in that focus group because was they doing coffee and donuts in that class when you all were there?
Yeah.
Yes.
We'd had them down in Sunday school.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, we were so excited because we needed coffee so bad, but we were running out of time. And Mariah's like, they got coffee. And I was like, yes. So we were like enjoying ourselves. It was a great time.
It's true. So when they first started doing the coffee and donuts in the church and like having that class, like they got ridiculed. They got preached at several times. There was a couple times at the camps. There was a couple times at IHC. And of course, like we were the only, and that was what it was so apparent was like, we were like the only ICHA church at that time because we were ICHA. We were the only ICHA church doing that.
Right.
And so like it was apparent who they were preaching at when stuff like that was happening. But that wasn't the only thing, Then we kind of got looked down on for having screens in the church, and also that
now everybody has screens.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah.
But that kind of stuff there though also too started really getting my eyes kind of like it started opening my eyes to like the bull crap because I'm like, this is such small potatoes.
You know what I just realized?
What's that?
I bet that's why the ICHA and the CHM downs Mark so much was because he entertained people's questions and he let people ask the questions. He wasn't very much the like you don't question your pastor type thing because that's how they all are.
Oh yeah.
He was very much let's see why.
Yeah,
let's see why. Let's search the scriptures and see why.
Yes, that's exactly.
He was always like that, and that's probably why people were so down on him.
He would always like. Yeah, he never would be like, "Oh, you're just dead wrong." That's not how it is. Like he would always talk to you. He would always try to do the research with you. Like it was never. Yeah.
Let's see if it's actually is wrong.
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
Which is very admirable. I mean, that's not a normal CHM trait.
No, it's not. And and that church when we first started going there, it was extremely CHM. I mean, extremely.
I mean, we had the holiness of the Lord and everything.
My, yes.
That's holiness.
There was paneling on the wall.
Oh, paneling on the wall. Only 10 people attending the church on a good Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yes, it was hardcore CHM, and that's what we were following, but just gradually coming out of that. And it really helped us that our church was slowly coming out of that. Because it kind of helped us. It kind of helped us grow. Because we were able to ask people that were a little bit older than us, but they were coming out of the CHM, ask them for help and guidance and, and their thoughts and concerns. And that really helped. That in itself helped too.
Sure.
It's having those people to go to and having those conversations with. And they were kind of in the same boat as we were. And a lot of them still are kind of in the same boat.
There's not exactly a manual on how to leave the CHM. The CHM is so small. Yeah, somebody should. I've been after like Dan Downing or something. He needs to write him a book or something because it is so small.
Yeah.
The CHM is so small that there's really not a lot written about it. I mean, you got like if you're ex-Amish, that's different. That's people know what the Amish are, and They speak up, and there's shows on Discovery Channel and all that. But for it to be very specific for the CHM, there's not a lot out there.
No, you're right. No, you're absolutely right. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to ask. So, when your church that you were attending, it was in the ICHA, which is not exactly a liberal CHM denomination, right?
Oh no, they are better because we've talked about this several times. They are a little bit different, and a little better than the organization that you were with as a kid. Because some of the stuff that you grew up with, me and you would be talking about it. I'm like, dude, I never did hear that. But they were still pretty nutty. Dude, you still had to have them 3/4 length sleeves, no shorts, no long hair on men, no cut hair on women, no jewelry, no movies, no secular music. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They didn't get so crazy as beards. Now you couldn't probably be in leadership and have a beard, honestly. But if you were just a layman or whatever, they wouldn't really care. So they were still pretty crazy.
Yeah,
they're still pretty crazy.
That's what I'm too. You look back at them now, and they look pretty on the radical side.
they look ridiculous.
Of course, that's compared to where we're coming from now.
Well, and here's the thing, man. I know this is horrible and I shouldn't be this way, but man, I see pictures on Facebook still of some of these people, and I'm just like, you guys make fun of the Amish, but you guys are one step above them. Really.
That's true.
Okay, let's give them 2 steps because they have a car. It's like and a smartphone. But they really do, and they don't churn their own butter and whatnot. But
so what I'm hearing from you, Canaan, is that you didn't leave over a bad experience. In fact, you came to Christ in the CHM.
Yeah, I came to Christ in the CHM. I got saved, and hey, I am no longer CHM. I have no desire to be CHM. I want nothing to do with the CHM.
Yes,
but I got saved in the CHM, and I won't back down from that.
They don't get the credit for the spiritual growth, though.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
I didn't have any spiritual growth.
That's what I'm saying.
They got me to Christ, and I had to fight and claw my way to the rest. That's really. I'm serious. That's really how it was.
I know.
I came back to Christ in the CHM. But other than that,
you did your growing away from it.
Yeah. Growing away from it.
As we grew away, we grew up.
That is the truth. That is the truth.
Yeah. I can kind of, I've watched you guys over the years, and I think I could agree. We all kind of had we all went through our growing up phase right about the same time.
Yes.
Of course, me and Miss a few years older than you guys, but of course we've been so closely connected, the 4 of us, for past 10 years?
10 years.
Has it been that long?
Oh man, it's been longer than 10 years, hasn't it?
It's been around that.
Yeah,
we've only been married for 9.
But me and you were together for 12 or 13. Okay, 12. And me and Phil were together before that. So you're looking at least 13, 14 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I remember we were living.
Me and Phil were the ones that got you and Missy got kind of together.
Ours was probably a little bit after yours.
Yeah, so me and Phil were already together, and I remember Phil. What was it? Was that a family reunion, Phil? I think it was.
Yeah.
It was a family reunion.
When
Missy and Mariah first met. And
you guys come down. I remember you showing up with her at our trailer. We lived out there in Printing Town, and then I think, did we leave there and go to a family reunion, or what did we do?
I think so.
I think so.
It. And then I think Missy and Mariah just kind of hit it off from there. And just got to talking and hanging out. I remember me and you were both like, man, I hope they hit it off well, man, because how is this going to work if they don't, And so then they ended up hitting it off well, and that weekend was just a blast. And then of course we just, from then on, man, it's been Amish country first.
Right.
Blossomed into something great.
And we did kind of go through a lot of this process of leaving. We kind of went through it together. A lot of the, we did a lot of the.
Yeah, we did.
Bouncing ideas off each other.
Connection so well.
Probably so.
Yeah.
That connection that we have, and that, man, when you were having questions, whatever, you talked to me. When I was having questions, I talked to you, and I would always tell you what's going on my end, and it just so.
Absolutely. We kind of went through it together, walked through it.
We did.
If I had $1 for every hour that we we spent on the phone yelling back and forth at each other,
and you're agreeing together.
Yeah, we were agreeing, but we were still just.
We were agreeing. Yeah. Oh, we were just mad. not at one another, but man, there were just so many things. Can you believe this idiot?
Oh yeah. Yeah, and we still do that.
100%. No, that's great. But we do life together. I mean, the four of us, and we always we have for
long time,
10 to 12 years now.
Yeah. So maybe
too long.
Yeah,
you guys can't leave us ever because you guys know too much.
We know too many things.
Yeah. We don't ever plan on leaving. That's
same.
So maybe to kind of wind this down, Canaan, what advice would you give to somebody that is thinking about leaving, that's still there, and just isn't sure?
Get out as quick as you can.
I knew you could say that.
There's no reason to prolong it. I guess as long as you are searching and you're moving forward and you're moving in that right direction, because I didn't leave it right away. So I can't really tell somebody else, oh yeah, you need to just get out, right away.
But that's what worked for someone else.
That's true. Some people may need to cut ties completely and just be like, you know what, I'm done.
Yeah.
But I would say, like we've all done. We've all searched and
ours just took longer.
Yeah. And there's always certain things.
I'm a careful person too.
Yeah.
You are
very precautious. I know. Yeah. What does that go with your being a S?
Yeah, CS.
Oh.
Yeah.
Personality.
Yes.
CS in my disc profile. Yeah, it's a CS, and it's very cautious and careful.
For a minute, I thought she was trying to say go with being a or something.
No, I was being nice.
That too.
That too.
But yeah, I'm very careful, and that's why. And I don't like to burn bridges, and I don't like to.
You don't. That is the truth.
I like to make that move, and I like to think about the move that I'm going to make. Not make that move and then think about it.
So
I don't like making people mad. No, I don't.
You'd be a good chess player.
Yeah, maybe.
So do you when you say get out as quick as you can, do you think the CHM is dangerous to somebody's spiritual walk?
Yeah, I don't see it being a good thing. I really don't.
Yeah.
And that's here's actually I won't mention any names, but I had a guy not long ago. He was like, he was talking about the podcast and stuff. He's like, why don't you unite, the churches together? Why don't you use that podcast for more positivity and to unite the all these church people and stuff? And I said, I don't want to reunite anyone with the CHM. Oh man, I can't believe you say that. And I'd be like, why would I leave a job and then tell you, hey, bub, you ought to go over there and work for that place?
Right.
Well, didn't you leave there? Well, yeah, I did. Well, why'd you leave over there? Well, because it's complete crap. Yeah. Well, then why do you want me to go over there?
Sure.
Saying it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
it's like okay, we have a Sunday dinner, we have roast beef, and we're going to be putting a little seasoning of crap right on the side of it, and here you go, this is really good.
Have some crap with your roast beef.
Eat up, boys.
Why would you combine the two? You don't want to do that.
No,
especially if God has led you in a different direction. You were talking about 100%. How whenever you said you wanted to get to church, you were feeling like you had to get to church whenever you were very out of it.
Drunk as a skunk.
I was trying to be nice.
As Mariah would say.
Out of sorts.
I would say belligerently, but anyways, you knew that you had to get right with God. And that could have been anywhere. And I wanted to ask you this question. Did you feel like it had to be at church where you got right? Or did you feel like you could be anywhere and talk to God? Was it something about the church that you felt like you had to go back in?
That's actually a really good question I've never really thought about. I'm really not sure. I think the reason I was thinking of that church or that meeting in particular, because I knew what time it was, and I knew that just down the road a little ways, there was a church service going on.
Okay.
And so I'm like, man, I need to get there. I need to get there. But being CHM though, I would have probably not have went to say a Nazarene or a Baptist or anything like that. Right. It would have had to be, it's either get saved in your car going down the road or get saved in their church.
Right. The Lord can't hear you in a Baptist church.
Yeah, he can't hear you there. So,
so do you?
So yeah, that's.
Let me ask you, and I know the answer to this, but for people that are wondering, you do believe that there are good people in the CHM still, correct?
Yeah,
I do. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to say there's very few and far between.
Mariah, stop it.
No.
I'm just playing devil's advocate.
No, I do. I feel like there's still some good people in the CHM. I believe that. And kind of going back to your other question, I don't really feel like I answered that well, and I'm not really sure. I'm kind of almost scared to answer that one. I do think it could be pretty harmful to Christians, especially new Christians. You know, my thing is like you have to put in the work, you have to research, you have to study.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And
it's harmful to those who don't know better.
Yes, the ones that just blindly follow and they're just like, that's what the pastor says. Let's do it. You know, that's the ones that can be really harmful to. But ones that will question and like to question, I would say they'll probably do all right.
Yeah, because they're willing to do the research themselves.
Well,
that's
100%.
number one.
Yeah, if somebody does too much question, they won't stay long.
Exactly. They'll realize just how nasty it is. You're right, Phil.
They won't. And the thing about it, and I think that even comes down to personality types too. Like if you have like a really meek, mild person that's just okay with just accepting how it is, accepting the rules and what the pastor says, and people say, then they're okay with just sitting there, never really reading their Bible, never, they know, what to do and when to do it. But you have people that's more like bold and like just more forceful and stuff. And they're like, well, why do you do this? Mm-hmm. And then when they don't get the answers and stuff, they're like, this is bull crap. I'm going to start reading this for myself. Start doing my own research. Then they start, that's when they're like, okay, this is all a farce. This isn't true.
Right.
And I think that's about where we were at.
Canaan, you've done a fantastic job this evening.
Well, thank you, man. I hope I did well. Hopefully it didn't get too off course.
No, sounded good. We still have Mariah and Miss.
Yes.
Y'all got to tell yours at some point.
Oh boy.
And,
I am looking forward to that.
Yeah, me too.
Just be a part 2 of Canaan because a lot of mine is with them.
Well, I was wondering about it because you guys,
it kind of could. We were together when I was 15.
We were together. We've been together.
What?
In a good way.
What'd she say? Been together too long?
This is not. They've been together too long.
She's looking to trade you in, boy.
We do need to get there.
Yeah, just like a lease on a vehicle. In a good way. You need to just like return.
My lease is up, babe.
Lease is up.
I can say,
well, you forgot to tell our 2 kids that.
Yeah.
It is funny, before we go, it is funny sometimes when I think about how much Canaan has changed in the amount of time since like when they first got together. Like you used to do stuff deliberately to scare the living out of me.
And Mariah.
Oh, I remember being in a car with him, and Canaan did not realize that the gas pedal didn't have to go all the way to the floor. Took him a while.
Now he drives like a grandpa.
I know.
And I'm like, why don't you just go around them? Well, I don't need to go around them. I'm like, but they're going so slow.
I have, in that aspect, I have changed a lot. I really have changed a lot.
I can remember you too on that ridiculous golf cart at your all's youth camp, and he used to, that hill, steep like this. Canaan goes down and starts hitting the brakes. We're spinning around, and I'm like,
was that around the same time that the one rolled on me?
Oh yeah. And he knew it scared me, so that's why he did it.
Yes, I remember. I remember very well.
I remember sitting in the pasture seat of that golf cart, just seething with anger.
Trying not to poop yourself.
And I'm just over there laughing, just thinking.
Dude, I can still see you looking at me with your grin, and you're just like, you knew exactly what you were doing.
That sounds about right.
Man. Dude, well, man, I think one of my last stunts was Mariah and Missy were both mad at us over us complimenting a lady's hairdo in the mall.
Yes, I remember that.
Oh boy!
And we were in that old Durango of yours, and I was like, and they were arguing with us, and I said, you know what, enough of this. And I just literally, as they're driving down the road, I literally just climb out the passenger window and on top of the roof, hanging on to your.
I literally look over.
To be fair, To be fair,
That's literally why.
Mariah was trying to explain something and you just had enough with it. You were like, I'm done. I am done. And you just heaved yourself on top of the roof while we're going around a curve.
He just pulled the eject button.
I think Mariah like said about like, I don't think she said it, but it was basically one of those things. She's like, you can't get away from me, so I'll just talk your ear off and I'll just get my point across. I'm like, no, you don't have me trapped. Like, I am not trapped in here. Oh, man.
I will find a way to get my freedom. Jeez. I remember that, dude. I remember just looking over and your skinny rear end just
his hairy
so
butt.
fast. It was just so fast, too.
Man.
Oh, my goodness.
I was nuts. I did stupid stuff, but man, like, I'm still really young, but I remember. I'm like, I don't know. I'm very mild now. Like, I'm very chilled.